for me. I think like becoming a mother was a fresh start for me. I like go home for a week thinking I'm going to miscarry, and they offered to give me a shot to terminate the pregnancy, but I wasn't quite ready.
My body's supposed to do this. Why is my body failing me? This is like what my body is supposed to do. That journey took more on my mental health than I anticipated. In that season of entrepreneurship, I had to have motherhood take the front seat, which allowed entrepreneurship to take that second seat because that was for my children.
Welcome to Baby Bump and Business, the podcast for creative moms growing a baby and a brand at the same time. I'm your host, B. Troford Wilson, photographer, educator, and first-time mom, sharing the real unfiltered journey of pregnancy, entrepreneurship, and everything in between. Each week, I'll be joined by a fellow creative mom to talk about the beauty, the burnout, and the balance of it all. So let's get into it. Today's guest is Alex Reed and Jordan Hawkins. They are the co-founders of Elevate Collection, a sports and entertainment platform built at the intersection of influence, wealth, lifestyle, and legacy. Through curated experiences, strategic advisory, and their podcast, Where Influence Meets Legacy, they serve athletes, entertainers, and business leaders navigating impact both on and off the field. Rooted in resilience and first-generation success, Alex and Jordan have built a trusted relationship-driven network known for creating meaningful connections and philanthropic initiatives that support at-risk youth and underserved communities. Together, they are passionate about helping people turn influence into lasting legacy. Welcome to the podcast, Alex and Jordan.
It's so fun, like hearing you read it sometimes because you're just like, dang, how did we
You
get
did
here?
that. Like, y'all did all of that. Like,
It's also so fun to be on the other side of this because normally we're you, B. So it's so fun to
yes.
be in the guest chair.
Yes. And I'm excited to dive in and learn about you guys' story. I know a little bit about it because I've had the honor and privilege to be able to work with you and your amazing team. But I really want to dive into this new season of motherhood that I'm in. And when I found out y'all boss ladies are not just wives, but amazing mothers, I had to have you guys on this podcast. So thank you. And I'm so excited to have this conversation with you ladies.
We are too.
So Alex, I want to dive into you first. I know that you said you always wanted to be a mother. So I want to dive a little bit into that, having that mindset and that mentality with you. Can you go a little bit back on what was the thing that birthed that idea within you at such a young age until even now?
I think there was growing up, like there was everyone, I'm going to be a teacher, I'm going to be this, like there was just, that was always changing, right? I remember there were periods of time where I wanted to be like an attorney. I was like, I'm going to be a lawyer. I do like to argue. So I think I'd still be great at that. But it was always, I think, something in me that said, I may change. I think I had an early knowing that things change and things are always like an ebb and a flow. And I had a change is something that I also like thrived in, but the constant was always, but I do know I want to be a mom. And I don't know necessarily where the root of it came. I don't know if that was consistency. I don't know if it was a part of like my own like mother or grandmother, but I think I see a lot of strength in women that came before me between like my mother and my grandmothers and how they did everything that they did. But being a parent, being a mom was the thing that they were always most proud of. So I don't know if that maybe rooted it, but I always love the nurturing piece of shaping my children. Like I love that. Like I want to raise not children, but raise them to be good humans that are in this world. And I think that's the one piece that we can contribute, if nothing else, is raising up good humans to go out into the world and be.
Beautiful. And Jordan, what was that for you? Did you have that same mindset of, oh, I want to be a mother, or what was that for you?
I think that came to me very naturally from a young age. Like I always assumed I would have children, right? Like I always thought like, of course, one day I'll be a mom. I didn't inherently feel that. And I think my journey was a lot different. Of course, I had kids young. I was married at 22, had my son at 24 and had my daughter at 26. I honestly think that helped a lot because I was still young too. And it was young and fun and exciting. But I definitely had a few more struggles on the way. Like I struggled with pregnancy. I struggled staying pregnant. I struggled with postpartum depression with my son because I retained a piece of my placenta. So my motherhood journey was very difficult, even from my journey with my own mother to like becoming a mother. So my journey has been a really beautiful journey of like growth and change and then like becoming myself as I became a mother.
Beautiful. So I want to dive a little bit into that if you don't mind. So at a young age, getting married at You have when I was younger, I'm like, I'm gonna be married by 22 and then kids by 23. And then when reality hit, I was like, oh my gosh, I gotta do what? Now I have to be an adult. That was crazy. And I'm still in disbelief that I'm a mother now. But for you being able to do all of that at so young and going through all those different things, did you feel prepared for what motherhood actually was going to bring you?
Alex and I are really lucky. We were both young mothers, so as we've like built our company together, it's been really cool to be able to, talk back on those experiences together. I think it was a little bit of a wild ride because I didn't know what I didn't know about anything, right? I didn't know what I didn't know about the world. And it's crazy to me at 36 being like at 22 I was married and at 24 I had a child. Like that seems crazy to me. I was still a baby myself. But it was fun too because, like, we were young and broke and full of hope, you know? Like, I think it was a really beautiful spot to be in.
Beautiful. And what about you, Alex?
You know, I mean, essentially, like what Jordan said, I think that being young and hopeful was amazing. But I think a part of me in my upbringing, I mentioned my grandmother and my mother, even one of the motivations I think, as I recall now, of wanting to be a young mother, like I had the desire to be a young mother. Like it wasn't by happenstance. Like I always tell my husband, like I was a child bride and a child having a child. But I wanted my kids to be able to experience my grandmother because
Mm.
not even was, I am obsessed with my grandmother. I just think she's like the world's most amazing human being, but I wanted them to be able to experience her. And through having her and my mom, like I really was blessed with a village to be able to have like this internal village of that love my children the way that I love my children. And then, oh my goodness, this is what blew my mind, honest to God. Someone gave me this. I don't know if it's scientifically true, but I mean, you can fact check me. I don't know, but I'm going to believe it, whether it's true or not. But about the idea of you being carried by your grandmother. So, in
Mm.
theory, you're born with all of your eggs. Like as a baby, you're born with all your eggs. And then when my grandmother was pregnant with my mother, and she's born with all of her eggs. And then me being in utero with my mother. So at some point, I was carried too by my grandmother. So, like, I'm going to choose to believe that that is scientifically accurate. But I think about those things of like carrying the next generation. And I think having my grandmother and my mother as like my village is a blessing that I think I was excited to have. And maybe even that's it too. And maybe selfishly, like being a young mom, I was like, you know what? Maybe I'll have childcare. Maybe I'll have childcare if I have these kids early.
You saying these things brings up a different point of view for me. I think, like, becoming a mother was a fresh start for me.
Mm.
I was in Colorado. I didn't have any family there, and I think that it was, my son was planned. We definitely tried to get pregnant. It wasn't by happenstance, and I think like hearing Alex say these things, I think it did act as a fresh start for me to create the life I always dreamed of.
Ooh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Both of you guys are already spitting so many gems, and we're not even 10 minutes in. I'm just seeing you guys are awesome. You guys are awesome. So, talking about like going through that fresh start, Jordan, what was that like, especially with the challenges? If you don't mind talking a little bit about that, because I feel like a lot of times we don't speak about what it looks like when you are trying or when you're going through miscarriages. And sometimes we feel as if we're alone or that something's wrong with us because it's not happening right away. Do you mind sharing a little bit about what that looked like for you all in that transition period?
Yeah, my son, we were very fortunate. We got pregnant pretty quickly, but very early on, I experienced a lot of bleeding, and so of course it was very scary. It was right around Christmas time, so I was having a difficult time getting in and out of the doctor's office just because they were closed. So you have that experience of like, oh my gosh, I'm pregnant. Oh my gosh, I'm bleeding. And it wasn't like small amounts of like spotting blood. It was a large amount of blood. So I was like, I've lost this baby. It's right around Christmas time. I go in, they're like, your HCG is super high, but there's no evidence of pregnancy. Let's do an ultrasound. Oh, yeah, like the way your HCG is, like you should be 8 weeks along, but there's no baby, like you're gonna miscarry. So I like go home for a week thinking I'm gonna miscarry, and they offered to give me a shot to terminate the pregnancy, but I wasn't quite ready. I was like, let me get through Christmas, then we'll come back to this. And I go back and there's my son and his heart's fluttering and beating. And I was just thinking, like, thank goodness for the time that it was and that I had to wait. As it turns out, it was twins and I miscarried one of the twins and like still got to carry my son and was on hormones and progesterone. But it was really scary being home in Colorado. We had no family, we had a few close friends, but kind of doing that journey alone, and talking to your spouse and you're like, are we doing this? Are we not? And you're sad and you're grieving, but you're kind of excited, but it's not complete. So there's this like unclosed loop. It was a really hard journey.
Mm. And can you? I want to talk about going through that with your spouse. Oftentimes that is hard to deal with one when you're going through it, but then when you're going through it with the spouse and trying to figure out the words to say or how to even know what you need in that moment of support, what was that like for you and your spouse going through that?
It's really scary, especially with the unknown, right? Like, is something going to happen and I'm going to bleed out and die right now? Could this be a possibility? So you just have to really stay close to your spouse, try to have as best communication as you can around your needs and what you need. And a lot of the conversation that we've had, even as we progressed in marriage, is like, hey, are you looking for an answer or do you just need me to be a listening ear? Having that conversation up front when dealing with something difficult, even a day-to-day problem helps a ton in what you're receiving from your partner.
That's a good one. That's a good one. You want to be a listening ear or let me write these things down
No.
because I'm taking these notes. And Alex, for you, what was that like for you going through that process of pregnancy? Did you have any difficulties or
Oh my
anything going
God.
through that transition?
That was a doozy. So I have 2 kids. I've got a 14-year-old girl and a 6-year-old girl, and we probably tried for about 9 months for the first. And that one wasn't as bad. Like, trying for the first time wasn't as bad. Like, it was definitely a harder conversation around, "But my body's supposed to do this. Why is my body failing me? This is, like, what my body is supposed to do." So, the first one wasn't as crazy. So now you're like, "Okay, you have a 14-year-old and a 6-year-old. Why are they so far apart?" Not by my plan at all. We didn't want our kids to be that far apart, but it ended up being exactly as it should, and it's been beautiful because we've experienced them in their own childhoods and their own moments, and that's been a really beautiful thing. But between kid number 1 and kid number 2, we suffered miscarriages on top of miscarriages and also even failed, like, fertility treatments. And so that journey took more on my mental health than I anticipated. After my first daughter, I had postpartum depression. It wasn't awful, but it was definitely something that I needed to be able to dive into something else. And I worked through that, did the whole medicated thing, did that jam. But when I started to experience loss when we were conceiving the second, my depression took an entirely different turn. So not only are you thinking, my body's supposed to do this. And I'm like, this is something naturally I should do. So I feel like a failure in that. My body's failed me. But then you finally achieve the pregnancy and then you lose the pregnancy. And so I started to teach myself how to not be open because I want anybody else's hopes to get high and then have to explain that we lost yet again another pregnancy. And so my depression just really got to a point to where I was like, I've got to take control. And that's a whole thing too. I mean, you go through seasons of like surrender to trying to control, to surrender to trying to control. And like God also always has the final word. But I got into a control season and that's when we decided to pursue fertility treatment. And so we did 2 IUIs, but then before that, they did the thing where they like flush your tubes and did that. I don't know, they do something in there. I don't know, but they like flushed your tubes to clean some stuff out. And then I had 2 IUIs and both of the IUIs failed. And so like not only are you young and spending all this money, but you also still couldn't get pregnant. And so we probably tried for a couple of months after that naturally and was on all the things, all the progesterone, all the extra vitamins, taking all the pills, and it still didn't really kick. And we got to a point where I was just so done. I'm talking depressed to where I couldn't get out of bed. And I was like, I can't go through this up and down of like hoping, that they call it, what is it, the 2-week wait. Like, I can't do that again. Like, we're going to have to be just good with this one kid. Like, this is it. I can't do it. And the way I found out I was pregnant was I like tattoos. And I find that when I go through hard seasons is usually when I get another tattoo. And I had gotten, is it on this side? I got this tattoo here for those that are concerned. It's like a wave. And there's this song by the Belonging Co. and Lauren Daigle that says, I don't want to fear the storm because I hear it's a roar, but I don't want to fear the waves. The waves are only waves. And so I got this wave. It's like, okay, like the wave is only the wave. Like this is just the first part. Like this is fine. And we're going to keep moving. And then I was throwing up a few days after and I couldn't go to church or anything. And my friend was like, it's the tattoo. I think you got poisoned by the tattoo. And I was like, oh my God, like, are you right? And then I finally took a pregnancy test and I was pregnant. But all of that to say is that I think that final pregnancy journey for me, a loss really came to of like, I finally like gave up control. And I know that's not everybody's story, and I don't want to act like that. Just give up control, give it to God, and it's going to happen. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that for me, it was surrendering control in that season. And I believe really, truly, when I let go and stopped trying to play God is when it happened for me. And as far as like the relationship between my husband and I during that time, it's interesting because to him, it's just like, it was just another thing. He didn't understand the failure I felt. And to him, it's just like, keep trying, keep trying, keep trying. Like we just keep trying. And like, and he was like a athlete as a kid. So to him, it's just like, keep trying, keep trying. So I don't think he ever really understood the emotional component until after the fact. And he did try to support best he could. But what is there to say, especially when you don't have the language to articulate how you feel or even what you need in that season? You just know this hurts and I don't know how to move past it.
And if how was it even going through that season, but still having to show up as not just a wife but a mother in that season?
Crash. It was awful. It was awful because all for me, it just became the things I did every day were just checking off boxes because those are the things that I had to do. And then once the things that I had to do were over, I was back in bed. I was back in bed. And then I also, in order to make it look like I was okay to the outside world that didn't know I was going through those things, I think that's when I really developed my workaholicism of diving into work a ton and using work as like a coping cover of like, oh, well, I can't go out because I'm busy. Like, I've got to work. I can't do this. But in reality, like, I'm too sad to do anything else.
Mm. Oof, oof, this is
I know
deep.
I mean, that was just my reality. It was
Right.
hard.
But thank you for just being transparent and sharing that because I know for those who are listening, they may not, someone may be even experiencing something similar and doesn't have the voice or the words to say it like you said. But knowing that you are still able to get through that. And it's a blessing to know that you're able to still even use this as a testimony now for another woman who may need to hear that. So thank you for even just sharing that. I know it may be tough. It's a vulnerable conversation. So thank you for sharing that.
You know, that's how we
And
over.
so Amen. That part. So with you, with that workaholic mentality, right? Especially with you guys, now having your business and things like that. Oftentimes it is hard when you are doing being a wife, being a mother, and even having to show up in your business. So what did that look like for you guys early on in that new season of motherhood while showing up in your job?
You answer first, Jordan?
Yeah, I can start. I was really blessed in our dynamic. My kids are only 18 months apart. So I was able to, well, I was on bed rest with my son. So, like, I had to stay home. So I stayed home for a total of 4 years during my pregnancy, his first year, my pregnancy with my daughter, because I was still considered high risk. And then the full year after my daughter. So I got to breastfeed before I got to dive back into work. But, like, I was dying to go back to work. I'm not a stay home kind of girl. So even when I was at home, I was volunteering. I was on the MOPS committee. I was doing because I'm a doer. But I went back to work when Caroline turned 1, like the day of her first birthday. I weaned her off of breastfeeding and was like, "Let's go!" And then it was just really exciting. I think those 4 years, I'm so grateful for those. All the time I got to spend, I got to be really present those first couple of years, which I know is not something that everyone gets to say. I quickly learned I am not a stay-at-home mom, and I just thought it was so beautiful that I could have my own thing, go to work, feel excited about missing my kids, go back, and then just like dial back into them and be super present. And when I went back to work, I was like a key holder at a Kendra Scott jewelry store. So literally just a shift supervisor. So I had enough responsibility, but not too much that I got to like really hang up the keys at the end of the night and go home, which was really cool before we entered our founder journey.
And what about for you, Alex?
Yeah, I was working full time when my oldest was small, because it wasn't until, since they're so far apart, it really wasn't until I was in the throes of entrepreneurship until my second was born. But what happened was I think she was in second or third grade at the time. My oldest did, I think she was in second. And she was doing like that all day summer camp thing during the summer. And she came home one day and was like, Mom, I don't want to go back. And I was like, bet you're not going back then. And so that's when I got into the grind of like working, showing up as a working mom and not working mom, working for somebody else, but how do I create a life that allows me to show up in life the way that I wanted to. And so my first kid, I can't really attest to too much of that because the second is when I really like shook it out. Because when Aria was young, my oldest was young, like I was able to bring her to work and like do those things. So that worked, but I still lacked the autonomy that I wanted. And then so when I started the entrepreneurship journey, I was like, okay, like I want to be able to pick up my kids for school. I want to be able to show up to anything if they need me to volunteer in a classroom and all those things, which I later found out that I'm for sure a Venmo mom. Like, let me know who I can write a check to, who I can Venmo, but like I'm not doing the others. Like, it's just not for me. It's not my portion. So figured that part out really early, but I wanted to be able to volunteer and I wanted all of those things. And granted, did I end up working more? Yes, but I had to balance it by acknowledging that there is no such thing as balance. And I think there's seasons where these different areas of your life are taking priority. And in that season of entrepreneurship, I had to have motherhood take the front seat, which allowed entrepreneurship to take that second seat because that was for my children. And so like that was still where it looked like they were equal, but it really was the kids were first. And then I believe because and I think I can speak for Jordan in this too, because we had our kids younger, we got the ability to, when we got into the thick and the throes of building this business together, we were really blessed with excellent partners that were able to hold it down at home where we're not having to get over the phone and walk you through how to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich or anything like that. We're able to be like, hey, in this season, building our baby, being our business is what is taking the front seat. So this is our priority in this season. And then them having the ability to pick up that slack at home is what allowed us to build where we're at now, but also doing that together allowed us to build without that mom guilt. Granted, it comes. Don't get me wrong. It comes. We're like, oh God, I wish this or I wish that. But like being able to be like, hey, like we're both excellent moms and affirming each other in that season. Like I know people talk about business besties and all those things, but it is a different thing when you are founding and you found something together and you're building it literally brick by brick. Every hand you have shaken, every baby you've kissed has been because you were out there in those streets. But I know for a fact we couldn't have achieved that if we didn't have the support out.
I 100% agree with that. And I will say that motherhood is one of the main reasons that Alex and I decided to go into business partnership together. Because the main thing for us is still real estate. And it's not common for many real estate agents to be 50-50 partners like we are. We built our other businesses around our real estate model. But for us, being able to show up how we wanted to as parents is what really was the cause of the conversation. That's like, hey, let's do this together so that we can provide the level of service to our clients that we always want to provide, but we can still be the type of mother that we want to be. Our kids are in different activities, um, if my son has a baseball game, Alex can still show you a house. If my daughter has a dance competition, Alex can show you a house. If Alex is in Memphis seeing her family for the weekend for her grandma's birthday, like I can take care of it. So being able to have someone who is your 50-50 partner, equally invested in your life as your best friend and your business, has really allowed us to show up in our personal lives in a really beautiful way.
That's beautiful. So with building your businesses together, and I love how you said like you're able to understand what you guys' goals are as mothers and showing up for your families. So what were there any other boundaries that you guys started to set within your business to make sure you could show up the way that you guys wanted to show up?
I think it was the 50-50. Honestly, it was the financial component, which I mean, even our husbands were like, I don't understand like why y'all are doing that. Like, this is nuts. And in theory, like it probably does look like you're nuts. But what we didn't want was to have the conversation or tension around the financial piece or making decisions out of scarcity or doing a tit for tat. And so taking that piece out of it allowed us to be both in and being able to have grace with each other as business ebbs and flows. To being like, okay, this like dance competition season, like her daughter, what was she in, like 12 numbers last season?
8, yeah.
8 numbers, like her being at a dance competition with her daughter that has 8 numbers, 8 costume changes and things like that. Like in that season when she's gone every weekend, I would never want her to feel the weight of like, oh, I'm not pulling my weight or I'm not, but Alex is doing so much more. No, because there is going to be another season where I'm going to be less available. And then because we took out the stressor of money and like, you think about divorces, like they also, the leading cause of divorces is finances. We didn't want that to be the divorce of our business over finance. And so it took a lot of it took away the main thing that people argue about we know that our success is our success and we are both in it with the same amount to lose and the same amount to gain.
That's so true. I will add into how we started isn't where we are, being a founder and being a mother and a partner, to a husband or a wife. You're a lot of different people and a lot of different things. We're so blessed that we are best friends before we were business partners. And that has come with its own set of challenges. So we did have to put some parameters in place probably about a year or two ago, where it's like, hey, getting
For
out the door in the morning to school is really challenging. Like business can wait in this moment, right? Like if we're going to start work at 9 a.m., we'll end work at 4. Obviously if things come up, like you can call, but like in those times, like be a mother, make your child's lunch, get them to the bus stop, say goodbye. We got some advice one time that said if you can only dedicate 10 minutes at a time to your kid, do it when you let them out of the car and when they wake up, when they wake up and go to bed, and like when you pick them up. So like when we pick the kids up at the school, like I want to be one to one with you. Alex will be like, "Hey, Leighton's getting in the car, I gotta go," or I'll be like, "Hey, like let me tuck my kids in at bed," and same for Alex. Like if we need to be those things, it allows us to do that by having these business hours that are pretty flexible. But we don't start until 9. But I'll call Alex like 7:45 and be like, "Hey, this is on friend stuff, okay? Like you got to see Caroline's outfit today. Like, this is super cute." But it's really hard to maintain that balance when you're everything to each other.
And I want to dive a little bit into when you guys said, like, in this season of your husband's having to pick up that slack. What was that conversation like, even within that household of like, hey, this is what we're doing within our business and this is what we need from you at that time?
I'd say in mine, it was almost like an unspoken, it was almost unspoken to where like I just kind of assumed he got it. That's how it started until there started to be, some conversations or like when the trips would be longer. So we would try to maximize the time that we'd be on the road. So, I mean, what was it? One year it was like a 10-day, it was a doozy. And I had mentioned something about needing a support, and he's like, "This is what support looks like, Alex." He's like, "I'm not saying a word about this. I'm taking care of home. That's how I'm supporting you, so you don't have to worry about it." And it wasn't until he kind of said it out loud to me, I was like, "Oh my God, but this literally is the best type of support that I could have right now, is because I don't have to worry about, oh my God, did my kids are they eating a decent dinner tonight? Oh my gosh, did he get her to dance? Oh my gosh, did this happen?" I'm not having to think about those things. I'm trusting those things. But then later, as it has come into practice, as far as what support looks like with them, it is a level set of expectations. Hey, Jordan and I are traveling, Thursday, Friday, Saturday this week. So I'm going to handle dinner on Monday and Tuesday. So this is where I need you. And this is where I'm showing up. Any gaps, any questions? We kind of start to having to run our households like businesses themselves. You
We
do.
live, live, eat, breathe, and sleep by that Google Calendar. And it's
Gosh.
funny now in our businesses too. I'll be like, "Up, Jordan and Alex art show," and it's me and Alex and our
Yes.
spouses.
On the calendar
Like I'm
invite.
inviting them to the event. I'm like, "You're not coming, but you need to know we're going to
We're
be
letting
there."
you know this is
It is.
Alex, I think you do something really beautiful in your marriage that you have recently started in the past year, where you have a family meeting. I think you should tell them about your family meetings.
yes.
Honestly, the family meeting, this is gonna sound dramatic, but hear my heart. Family meetings saved my marriage because so often when we're communicating, when you're in the throes of parenthood, you're in the throes of building a business, that all the communication with your partner becomes about logistics and handling, okay, all right, I got this, you've got this, what's for dinner? Okay, I'm picking up this, I'm on pickup today, you're on the that's where it really came. So then what we do is every Sunday, it's in the calendar every Sunday, and we can be flexible if we need to move it to a Monday morning or whatever it is a dedicated time that's on the calendar, and it becomes almost immovable as far as it occurring. It never just doesn't happen. But we talk about the count. We literally pull up the calendars. This is what's going on this week. This is what I'm doing. This is what you're doing. Do you need help here? These are the meals we're having this week, or let's take the kids to do this. Okay, let's schedule the date night, and getting everything handled logistically in that like 1 hour session so that when we're communicating during the week, we're communicating with the intention to connect with each other. We're communicating and having a relationship instead of being like co-managers of a household. So that has been such a game changer. And honestly, like I said, I think the family meetings are something that I can honestly tell you I think saved my marriage.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Jordan, do you have were there any things that you and your husband started to do to make sure to keep that level as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think Alex and I both experienced this. You have to keep some level of dating your partner. I mean, there have to be date nights. You go, and even if you can't like go out and get a sitter, like go for a walk, but like just be together and in love with each other because you have to remember that if your foundation is not strong, you cannot show up as the parent you want to be. So, before kids, it was the two of you. After kids, it's going to be the two of you. So you have to make sure the foundation is steady.
Mm. Woo, y'all are speaking some gems right now. Woo.
It's that American Yara song where it talk about the bones, like the house doesn't like everything can rattle, but the house doesn't fall if the bones are good. Like the bones are good, the foundation is set. And I think that's when you get back to that, I think it's huge. Like you can love those kids all you want, but those kids also part of parenting, how you show up for each other is also parenting and teaching them how to interact, what a healthy relationship can look like. Because, I mean, I'll speak for like myself. Like I didn't grow up in a household where I knew what a healthy marriage looked like. I don't and so like I think or even I can speak on my husband on this, like as a parent, his dad died young. So he's like, I didn't have anybody to teach me how to be a dad. I don't want that to be the story of our children.
Mm. And so, even with your children being able to see you guys as these founders of this business, what I know you spoke about when you took your daughter to the Beyonce concert. Can you share that a little bit? Because I think that that's just beautiful knowing that you are building legacy.
And it's one of my favorite moments like in life to date is I remember when we booked the suite because we use it it's a business thing for us, but booked a suite and Jordan was like, "You're bringing Aria, right?" And I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna bring Aria." And there's this moment where there's this song called "Protector" on the Cowboy Carter album, and it's her talking about her kids, like talking about how like I'll be your protector, I'll be your projector. And there's just a moment where we are in this room, like this is where my work is colliding with me being a mother and being able to sit next to her. I'll just send you the picture. Sit next to her, and then a girlfriend of mine recorded a video as well, but sit next to her and being able to sing that song with her together and like look at her like that I'm like boohooing and crying and the friend that's recording it's crying and because it's rare I think in this life where you get to have those things collide in that way. And so that was just such a beautiful opportunity. She got to like see Jordan and I like in our element, working, like doing the things and being able to have fun and create a life by design that we have now allowed it to collab and like merge together. Which then I could even say for my youngest too, which she's spicier than my first, but she had told us, what was it, like a week ago? She's like, I'm not going to college. And I was like, she's 6. And I was like, okay, okay. And she's like, I'm going to work. She goes, I'm going to work for Elevate. And then she corrected herself. And so she goes, well, I'm going to work with Elevate. So I was just like, excuse me? But it's cool because Jordan and I were reflecting on it and talking about it together about how, like, even at 6, she knows that, like, all this is possible. We can do what we want.
Well, and it's really beautiful because the kids work in the business. Like, we're gearing up for NFL training camp gifts. Like last year for NFL training camp gifts, they fold the boxes, they stuff the boxes. Like we have pictures and videos of them in the business. Like even on the real estate side, they'll come with us for pop buys and drop stuff off. Like it's such a beautiful space. Like they are building this company with us, and they're gonna appreciate it so much. Alex Layton said something once, and she said, "All of this is gonna be ours one day, right,
Yeah.
mommy?" Like while we were working, and Alex and I just like took a minute and like looked at each other and we're like, "This is so much bigger than us."
And I think, and that's even the more beautiful part of like knowing that everything that you guys are building, the fact that they can see that at such a young age and know that it's theirs and know that mommy is doing this for us. Like it's not mommy doing it for mommy, mommy's doing this for us. And I feel like that also kind of could remove like that idea or the thoughts of like mom guilt that we sometimes get, like, oh, we're working too hard or we're away from home, but knowing that they can see the rewards and they're reaping the rewards from it.
Yeah. Do you wanna know what the biggest instigator of mom guilt is for us?
Yes.
Other people.
Mm. Mhm.
So
My
family.
grandma commenting like, "When are you gonna be home? Your kids miss you." Other parents like, "I could
I
never,"
could
like
never. But we
Are
don't
you
say that
ever
to men.
home?
Oh. And how do you deal with that? Because I know like I've received that sometimes, like, oh, like you're working too much and you're doing this and you're doing that. And I'm just one of those like, okay, I'm just gonna like don't talk to me, ignore. Like you're someone who I'm not gonna talk to. But in as a working woman, how do you deal with that?
I'm not nice. I'm just not anymore. Because if I'm honest, the people that have the audacity sometimes are people that are closer to me. They're in my family that feel like they can speak. Because the people that aren't close, if they say something like good day, like good day. But people that are close to me that if I said it, I'm like, well, that dinner I paid for seemed to not have been a problem.
Ooh,
I can spit it right back to you because from the way I see it, you're benefiting from my hard work too. So
mhm.
you don't get to say those things to me, but then also benefit from my hard work as well. So like at first I may start with like the education component of like, you know what, this is for them. But that is a one and done for me. One and done because after that I'm just not nice. I don't care. You benefited, did you not? Okay, then go ahead and throw that steak up that I just paid for. Jordan's nicer than
And what
me.
about I'll say, what about since you're the nicer one, Jordan? What about you?
I'm not nice. I just am very reserved until you get to meet me. Like, people are like, Jordan's a golden retriever. And I'll be like, beep, 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 beep to Alex. Everything's bleeped out. And I'm like, and another thing.
That's
Like,
Jordan is in another thing heavy.
will beat a dead horse, okay? Like if there's a horse, I'm gonna beat it. Like I'm gonna beat it. But for me, I went through a really tough season where it's like I need to prove my worth to my
Mhm.
community. Yeah, I'm like I'm on the road, but oh my god, like did you see this meal that I made? And did you see like I'm here and I'm there, and I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and I'm volunteering on the PTA, and I'm this and I'm that and I'm the other. But while some of that does still exist inside of me, there are also parts of me. It's like okay, like sure, I'm on the road, but I also never missed a dance competition. Like, here I am, like, and as long as me and my partner are good, like, it doesn't matter to anyone else, like, what's going on. And you know what? Like, shout out to the men who can hold it down because I feel like for so long, and this is something I'm incredibly passionate about, women are presumed to be the primary parent. And when I say primary parent, women are expected to buy the school supplies, set up the doctor's appointment, do all the things. Even in a 50-50 partnership with your partner and a parent, women are still the presumable primary parent. And I don't think it's talked about enough. I never will forget. I had an acquaintance and we helped out with their kids. And the husband was like, do you know what school he goes to? And I'm like, you're asking me like what school your child goes to? Like, and I remember from that moment forward, I was like, we will both be equally involved in this parenting journey.
Well, it's the
Mm.
same thing, Jordan, too. Like when you talk about like the quote unquote like primary parent, like one, what does that even mean? Like when it comes to like primary parent. But the thing is it's obvious that it's systemic and like ingrained in us as a society because when you see a man out with his kids, it's oh my gosh, look at him being dad of the year. But if I'm out there, it's a Tuesday. That's what we expect. It's just like, oh, she's just being a mom, like nothing. But if a dad does it, then it's like he just hung the moon. But we're expected to just be and do those things natural.
Who
Right.
determined the woman has to take the kid to the doctor? Like, who made that determination?
Who?
And even with working, right? Where I remember when I got pregnant, everyone there are people who are on my husband's side. It's like, so you're gonna stop working, right? And I'm like, why would I stop working? And it's like, so you're gonna like, why would I do the things that I've spent my years building this career, and then now that I'm pregnant, now that I have a child, I'm supposed to stop? Like, no, like I'm gonna still. Well, how are you gonna still show up as a mother and do? And it's like we'll figure it out. But it's like that, like you said, like this idea of like the role play where it's like, okay, your role is to do all these different things, so you shouldn't do this. And it's like, no, it's we're gonna figure it out what it looks like for our marriage, but it not allowing that guilt or like you said, like not allowing the outsiders to come in and creep that within your relationship or your marriage or your motherhood journey of making you feel as if you're doing something wrong because you're pursuing your career, you're pursuing your goals, you're pursuing the things that you're building, not just for you, but for your family to live off of.
Well, are they ready to hear like maybe you as the woman are the primary provider? Are people ready to talk about that?
I don't think so. That part, that part. So lastly, with you guys traveling and especially you guys do so much amazing things around the community, around all these different things, and being able to intertwine your children into that, is there any advice that you would give to another mother who's going onto this journey of entrepreneurship or founding a business, who feels as if they're not sure where to start or that they can do it still being a mother? Is there any advice that you would give to them?
I would say personally it would be find the community. Find you a like-minded woman that's going to sharpen you and challenge you and not let you settle back into what's easy because it will be uncomfortable and growth is uncomfortable. So I think I would just challenge you to find someone and be in community with. I don't care if they're like your Instagram buddy, that you met that you've never met in person before and they live in Ohio, but find community with like-minded people. I think is going to be a huge piece of how you move that forward of someone who's not going to let you just again, like I said, settle back into what's easy because it's what's accepted or it's what's normal. I think that would be my first piece of advice.
And what about you, Jordan?
For me, I would focus on building your life by design. Like find the things in your life that you're passionate about, that you love to do, that you see yourself doing, and then build your business and your life around those things because you will naturally be successful. Some of the best lead generation we have are, our kids' sports teams and we like sports, and now we go to football games.
Aries.
We've built our life based around the life that we want to live, and we've built our business that way too. So build a life and a business that supports your dreams. Also, don't subscribe to the thought that you can't have it all. You can. You can be an incredible mom. You can be an incredible leader, partner, wife, friend, but do make sure to give yourself grace because
Mm.
those seasons ebb and flow.
Ooh, love that. Love that. Well, ladies, thank you so much for sharing your story, for your vulnerability, for your honesty. I know you guys have helped me in this new season of motherhood that I'm going in. And for all the listeners out there, I know that they're going to be touched by your stories as well. So, Alex and Jordan, thank you again for sharing with me today.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
Keep elevating the lives the way that you do.
Thanks so much for tuning into this episode of Baby Bump in Business. I hope today's conversation reminded you that you're not alone on this journey and that there's so much power in building something beautiful while becoming someone new. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a moment to rate, review, or share it with another mama or creative who needs the encouragement. Your support helps this community grow and lets more stories like ours be heard. To stay connected and get updates on new episodes and real talk from creative moms like you, be sure to follow us on Instagram at Baby Bump and Business. Until next time, keep creating, keep growing, and give yourself all the grace that you deserve.